and this budget is all about building our economy, securing our future and getting more people back to work.
Like our decision to cut back financial support for millions, whilst bringing forward tax cuts
worth $12 billion this year alone will go to more than 11 million people. The benefits range from $1,000 a year at the lower end, or $20 a week, through to $2,500 or $50 a week at the upper end. They'll come almost instantly once passed by Parliament.
That money will be spent across the economy and that money will help create jobs.
Incomes of between $45,000 and $90,000 will receive tax cuts worth just over $1,000 or about $20 a week. Workers earning more than $90,000 will receive up to $2,500 or about $50 a week. But because the tax cuts are being crammed into the remaining 8 months of this financial year, the benefits are supercharged. A $20 a week cut becomes about $30, and a $50 a week cut scales up to about $75.
Australian government putting the N back in cuts.
Yep, it's federal budget time, and as I go through it, I'll make videos for you guys, but this one will just be a bit of a roundup of the tax cuts. And mainly because of other videos I made, I won't spend too much time being a broken record on saying, what do you mean you think it's a good idea for during a pandemic when we would expect the government to have a bit more on its plate and for it to need to help its citizens, for you to cut revenue? What do you mean you think that's a good idea? And I would like to read this article from The Guardian for you. Australian Budget 2020, Federal Budget, income tax cuts brought forward for 11 million Australians. $17.8 billion package includes permanent cut of $47 a week for high-income earners and a one-off $21 cut for middle-income earners. This is more good work by Paul Karp from the 6th of October 2020. More than 11 million Australians will receive tax cuts, with a permanent cut of $47 a week for high-income earners and a one-off $21 cut for middle-income earners in 2020-21, according to the Coalition's budget. Under the plan unveiled on Tuesday, Stage 2 income tax cuts scheduled to begin in 2022 will be brought forward to this financial year and backdated to July to deliver an immediate boost to household budgets. The largest benefit will be captured by those earning $120,000 and over, but the budget also provides a one-off boost to the tax cuts for middle-income earners by extending the low and middle-income tax offset to 2020-2021. The tax cuts will cost an additional $17.8 billion, including $12.5 billion over the next 12 months. The package sidesteps a political argument with Labor because the opposition has already supported Stage 2 tax cuts when they passed in Parliament in June 2019. They opposed a third stage which gives further cuts to middle and high income earners. That stage has not been brought forward. From 2020-21, the upper limit of the 19% personal income tax bracket will rise to $45,000, and the 32.5 marginal tax rate upper threshold will be lifted from $90,000 to $120,000. People earning more than $120,000 will see the biggest benefit, with a permanent cut of $2,430 in 2020-21 and beyond. People earning $48,000 to $90,000 will gain an extra $1,080 in 2020-21 from a one-off extension of the low and middle income tax offset. By comparing the 2020-21 rates of tax with 2017-18 to count the benefit of Stage 1 tax, the government claimed this group received a total tax cut of $2,160. As a result, Frydenberg boasted in the budget speech that as a proportion of tax payable, the greatest benefit will flow to those in lower income in 2020-21 because a person earning $40,000 will pay 21% less tax, while those on $80,000 will pay 11% less tax. Frydenberg said more than 7 million Australians will receive a tax relief of $2,000 or more in 2020-21, or about $40 a week. Given Labor's support for Stage 2, the tax cuts could be delivered within weeks via employers making small deductions from employees' pay. Employers can update their withholding rates to apply the tax cuts threshold changes as soon as it is clear the legislation will pass, but lower taxes for the period of July to October and the lower and middle income tax offset will not reach taxpayers until they file returns in July 2021. The third stage of tax cuts scheduled for 2024-25 reduces the tax rate for those earning between $45,000 and $200,000 to 30 cents in the dollar. The government opted against accelerating this stage, while delaying a decision on stage 3 takes some of the political heat out of the concerns income tax cuts will increase inequality. Progressive critics have also charged that tax cuts are an inefficient form of stimulus. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the household saving ratio increased to 19.8% from 6% in June quarter, stoking fears that tax cuts could be banked, not spent, in a setback for Australia's hope for a V-shaped recovery. With travel restrictions easing around Australia and Melbourne emerging from stage 4 lockdown, the government's hope is Australians will have more opportunities to spend. It also hopes permanent tax cuts are more likely to be spent than temporary economic supports like coronavirus supplement and JobKeeper wage subsidies. On Sunday, Frydenberg said the increased saving ratio was a function of restrictions because people couldn't go to pubs, cafes or take holidays. But once those restrictions are eased and people are getting back to work and life is coming back to a COVID-safe normal, then more money would be spent and the savings ratio would go down, he said. Yeah, okay, Josh. I think it would be completely reasonable of me to have no confidence in the Treasurer who idolizes Thatcher and Reagan. Alright, now let's go through some tweets that I think sum up the situation quite nicely. First up, Australian unions. A tax cut does nothing for you if you don't have a job. Hashtag budget 2020. And then next up is unemployment, where it looks like they're quoting Josh. Half of those who lost their jobs are back at work. And then they've added a really good little image here. We'll have a closer look at that. 1,624,000 job seekers. 116,000 jobs on Seek. Sally, there are massive tax handouts to big businesses in this budget, even though so many don't even pay their fair share of tax. This is money we lose for aged care, health care and education. Hashtag budget 2020. Peter, the Scott Morrison 2020 budget is tragedy masquerading as vision. Tax cuts for those, including self, who don't need them. The chance to build a zero-emissions, job-rich economy to tackle climate emergency ignored. Fossil fuels rule. Temperatures rise. We are the new dinosaurs. Joanne, someone earning $45,000 will pay the same amount of tax as someone on $120,000. And finally, Australia Institute. And then we'll wrap up this video with the little video they added at the end there, because I think it's really good. Tax is an investment in society. Our research shows tax cuts for the wealthy make poor economic stimulus. Those demanding tax cuts today will be demanding service cuts tomorrow. Don't let Australians pay the price. Hashtag budget 2020. Hashtag Ozpoll.
Tax is an investment in our society. After decades of tax cuts, all we've seen is more inequality and fewer community services. Research shows cutting taxes doesn't benefit jobs or the economy. Nordic countries that collect the most tax have the strongest economies and happiest populations. Those demanding tax cuts today will be demanding service cuts tomorrow. Don't let Australians pay the price. Authorised by E. Bennett, the Australia Institute, Canberra.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, links will be below. And to the What Do You Mean loyals, the regulars, I just want to say I love you guys and thank you so much for your support.